After a week in Osaka spent eating, gaming and exploring, we have made our way to Kyoto, and our first stop is the Fushimi Inari Taisha Shrine. We've gotten here quite early this morning, just before 7 AM, as that is recommended. It's probably one of, if not the most popular site here in Japan. Definitely the most recognisable, but it's already quite busy. Definitely recommend getting here as early as you can. I believe it's open 24 hours a day. It's free admission. It's so beautiful still though. If you're patient, you can get some spots where there won't be any people, but definitely a lot of people no matter the time of day. When we got in our train this morning, it was full of tourists, and that was at about 6:30 in the morning, so lots of people had the same idea as us. So the Fushimi Inari Taisha Shrine is dedicated to Inari, who is known as the god of agriculture, rice, business. So a lot of people will donate money for the gates in the hopes of receiving good fortune and prosperity. There are over 10,000 of these torii gates here, each one donated. And donations for the torii gates, I think, range between 40,000 yen to 1 million yen, which is pretty incredible. And you'll see that on some of the torii gates there are some inscriptions, like black characters written on the gates, and that is the family or the person who has donated the money for that gate. Now, I don't know what the fox says, but I do know what the fox represents. It's said that the god Inari's messengers are actually foxes, so that's why you'll see a lot of foxes here and there at the shrine. Now, you can hike all the way to the top of the mountain here at the shrine. We are not going to do that today. I've read mixed things in terms of how long it takes, ranging from like 2 to 3 hours for the whole up and down experience. We're just going to take in the gates. Now that we've had an early start and we're up, we haven't had breakfast, we certainly haven't had a coffee yet. I've got a particular place in mind that I think will combine continuing to, you know, see the sights of Kyoto while also getting a coffee. And it's a Starbucks, but it's not what you think. We'll take you there. Ohayou gozaimasu. And a grande caramel frappuccino. Okay. Kudasai. Arigatou gozaimasu. Well, as you can see, we're not in any ordinary Starbucks. Sorry about my legs. It has traditional tatami floor mats on the floor for you to sit on. This is a special day because it's not often we get to get Starbucks because of our very strict budget. Yeah. I have to say, I have a lot of respect for Starbucks for integrating into such a traditional area and keeping the traditional feel. I actually think as well that there might be a Zen garden in this Starbucks somewhere, so we'll have to see if I can find that. It also looks like you can potentially book rooms here if you know that you're coming or have a big party, which I think I would recommend doing because it's very busy at the moment, and we're lucky that we found these cushions to sit on here. It's funny, I was saying to Stace last time we were in a Starbucks how comforting it is to be in a Starbucks because they're all pretty similar, they're all kind of the same, you know what to expect, but it is also very cool to be in one that is very much different to all of the others. It's the only one in the whole world. It's actually in an old Japanese tea house, I think, or old Japanese house, which is called a makiya or machiya. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. The building itself, I think, is over 100 years old, but the Starbucks has been here since 2017. So it's still fairly new, very popular, but I'm happy to say I've been to the only Starbucks that's in one of these kind of buildings. It's funny as well because obviously Starbucks around the world are always open super early, like it's just if everything else is shut in the city, the Starbucks will be open. And it's the same here in Japan. This Starbucks opens at 8 AM, which doesn't sound very early, but pretty much everything in Japan opens at like 10 AM, so that's still like early for Japan, which I think is kind of funny. We are now en route to the Kiyomizu-dera Temple, which is about a 500-meter walk from that Starbucks. Walking down some of the most beautiful streets we've ever seen. Very traditional, lots of traditional style shops and foods and things like that, which is really cool.
Kiyomizu-dera is definitely a very popular tourist site, similar to Fushimi and Inari. A lot of people recommend getting here before 8 AM. We're here just before 10:30 and it is absolutely packed. This is a site that gets full of school groups as well, so it's a lot of people. But it was also a great location to combine with Fushimi and Inari Taisha because it was about an 8-minute train ride and then just over a 1 kilometre walk away. So definitely a good one to combine with that in one day, but obviously if you're looking for those beautiful photos and trying to avoid the crowds, you might want to put this on a different day and come before 8 AM when it would hopefully be a little less crowded.
So you can come up to the top area where you can get some really nice views and photos of the surroundings, but also the 3-tiered pagoda. But what most people online recommend and what we recommend is spending 500 yen, so only about $5 Australian, to actually come inside the temple and explore the gardens, because that is apparently a real draw to this area. And as you can see, it is very popular up here.
Even though there are so many people here, it's still kind of peaceful and quiet. Like you can hear lots of people talking, but I can also hear like bugs and birds, which is weird that I could hear that when there are so many people, but it's so nice. It's super luscious and green on this path. We don't exactly know where we're going. We're just kind of wandering down some of these paths, seeing if we can find something cool.
I think the fact that it's kind of in and surrounded by trees and lushness is why it can feel so peaceful and almost quiet, even when it's loud.
It's only just past 10:30 in the morning and I've already done my 10,000 steps for the day.
Yeah, just closed my move goal on my watch.
That seems to be the trend here in Japan. We are clocking up those kilometres and those steps.
Make sure you pack some very comfortable and appropriate footwear. I recommend Divas.
And it's a bit hot today as well, so, but nothing like Southeast Asia, which I'm relieved.
Yeah.
So that's where we started. All the way back over there where all the people are. So we've walked around to a different viewpoint and I think we're going to keep wandering around. It's kind of cool, and the further away we walk, the less busy it is, which is nice. We were wandering trying to find somewhere for lunch and we actually came across this building which looked familiar to me, and it's because it's one of 500,000 reels Roshas sent me about Japan. Watched one reel and they said this is the best donut place in Japan, so I think I might have to get some takeaway donuts because I already had a donut for breakfast, so I'm definitely not having another donut now, but let's check it out.
This might just be the fanciest donut shop I've ever been in. Oopsies! Alright, seeing as we just spent about 14 Australian dollars on donuts, speaking of, let's check in with future Roshine to see how they are. Oh, they're really good. We're gonna have lunch from 7-Eleven, and look, to be fair, I think that this is a tourist rite of passage here in Japan to get a lunch from a convenience store, and to be fair, for cheap, and they're really delicious, so highly recommend. Good morning everybody and welcome to day 2 in Kyoto. It is a miserable day here, but we are venturing out and braving the rain anyway. We have our trusty umbrellas and our first stop of the day is Kinkaku-ji Temple. Some people refer to it as the Golden Temple, and I think you can see why.
You guys, you want to know the best part of today? I mean, aside from being in Japan and being in Kyoto and all the obvious stuff, I'm in a fresh white t-shirt. I'm glowing. It has been so long since I've worn a white t-shirt that actually looks white. My poor 2 other white t-shirts have been through a lot with sunscreen and bug spray and sweat and through various different washing machines and packed so many times. This t-shirt cost me about $4 Australian and I'm glowing and I'm feeling fresh and I'm loving it.
So Kinkaku-ji Temple is a 3-leveled temple, but what makes it really special is that the top 2 levels are completely covered in pure gold leaf.
The fog is adding to the atmosphere here. It looks so beautiful and it stopped raining, which is a bonus as well.
Guys, as if it's not cool enough being almost completely coated in pure gold, it's actually surrounded by water as well. So there's this little bit of land that brings you over to the temple, which you can't actually go into, but then completely surrounded by water, which makes those pictures even more picturesque with the reflection. You can imagine if it was a day where the water was completely still, the pictures would turn out pretty amazing. And look, I think our pictures today have turned out pretty amazing, even with a little bit of a ripple.
Plus, we'll also throw on the screen a picture of us from when we were here in 2019 for comparison. Please don't tell us we look older. Guys, I'm almost 30, it's already sad enough.
Guys, during our 5 months here in Asia, we have seen some pretty incredible temples, ranging from huge structures to ones that certainly pop in colour. And now on this trip we have seen a temple covered in gold. You would think that after 5 months we'd be templed out, and I'm not gonna lie, we are a little bit templed out, but you can't come to Kyoto and not come to this temple, and we don't regret coming at all. It's very cool. And it's no trip to Kinkaku-ji Temple without getting yourself a matcha vanilla ice cream swell. Boring.
Rush lied though, it's not matcha, it's green tea.
No, not for Stace.
No, don't be weird. Our next stop is Maruyama Park. We actually visited this exact spot 5 years ago when we came to Japan in 2019. And weirdly enough, when we were here last time, some of these trees had cherry blossoms on them, which is crazy because we were here in July, so even later in the year. But I definitely vividly remember those pink flowers in the trees, which was super beautiful. But it's a very pretty park here. Lots to see as you walk around. Some really nice bridges. There's some water with some fish in it. There are some cool birds, but just a super beautiful park. And admittedly, we probably should have come here yesterday because it's in the Higashiyama District, which is where we spent all of our time yesterday pretty much. So that was our mistake, but we just kind of forgot it existed. But so glad we remembered so we could come here today.
Wow. Do you know what that reminds me of? Something totally different to what it is. It reminds me of the, I think it was called the Witch's Kitchen in Blarney Castle. I'll put the video on the screen here. Essentially it's the Blarney Castle grounds. I don't know, I'm getting a flashback. Japan and Ireland. Polar opposites, but some similarities.
This is such a beautiful park, one of the most beautiful we've been to, and we've been to a lot of parks on this trip. Definitely something we've noticed is a lot of people come here dressed in kimonos, like tourists come here dressed in kimonos and take some really pretty pictures. Rosh was looking up the kimono thing because we weren't sure if it was like cultural appropriation or something like that, but apparently the locals don't mind it when you dress in kimonos because they like you kind of celebrating their culture. So if you're from Japan, let us know in the comments, is that correct? We ourselves won't be dressing up in kimonos, we just haven't gotten around to it, but it is definitely something we've noticed here in this park. It's the most people we've seen dressed in kimonos and taking photos, and it's such a beautiful spot to do it. Why wouldn't you?
I think we'd look pretty cool in kimonos.
Yeah, put us in kimonos.
Ohayo gozaimasu.
This was our favourite place last time we came to Kyoto. They've got really cool gyozas, like a bit different, probably not super traditional, but it's very, very popular. We had to come back. We're here bright and early to make sure we get in because they don't take reservations. I'm so excited. This place has such cool stuff. I got some of the Chao Chao Gyoza, which is just like a pork gyoza. We got some chicken and mozzarella gyoza. We got some grilled and some deep fried, which is super cool. We got deep fried mashed potato gyoza. Rosh got a risotto cheese gyoza. And we're making sure we save a little bit of room for dessert because they have chocolate gyoza and they're really freaking good. So we're very excited. So we originally found this place last time we came to Japan because we were searching for places with vegetarian options, and they have heaps of different vegetarian options. They've got just vegetable gyoza, they've got the risotto gyozas, like mushroom, tofu, like heaps of different options. It's not just like vegetable gyoza and that's your only option. There are heaps of different options. The mashed potato one is obviously, it's not vegan, but it's vegetarian, so heaps of no meat options, which is really cool, and they're delicious, so added bonus. Mashed potato gyoza, really good.
Alright, chicken and mozzarella gyoza, life-changing. Tastes like a chicken nugget, but better. Highly recommend, you gotta get them. So, chicken mozzarella pan-fried comes with mayonnaise. It's an interesting decision, but we'll try it.
It's pretty good. And now it's time for the real reason why we came here. Chocolate gyoza. But in all seriousness, I highly recommend ordering more than you think you need because we ended up ordering more. I got another 8 of the Chao Chao pork gyoza. Rosh got some more chicken and mozzarella. And we've got our dessert ones now, and we're still thinking we probably could have eaten more. So definitely order more than you think because they're small and they're delicious and you're gonna want more.
Something that I've noticed as we walk the streets of Kyoto, you know, more so inner city shopping strip, is that they play music. It's kind of like you're in a shopping centre and they're just playing some like casual jazz type music. It makes you feel like you're in a video game or a movie. It's just so fun. Someone's had a bad day. We're on our way to a store that I think you should visit if you're in Japan and in Kyoto because each one's a little bit different. Yep, we're in the Pokemon Centre. Alright, that finishes off our day 2. I'm gonna go because it looks like she's losing control. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Today we are treating ourselves to a breakfast out at Micasadeco Cafe Kyoto, and we're getting something that you kind of have to get when you come to Kyoto. As you can see, I've got myself some pretty fluffy, wobbly, wiggly pancakes here. I've actually gone for the ricotta flavour because online this place had such amazing reviews for these ricotta fluffy pancakes, so we'll give it a go. Stacey's been a bit boring. She's gone for regular pancakes. Yeah, I wouldn't even say I'm usually like a big ricotta cheese fan, but they're tasty. Definitely taste eggy, but I like them. With thunderstorms here to stay, that completes our time in Kyoto. Next week you can join us in Matsumoto for our first time, but for now, YouTube thinks that you should watch this video next.